And start. I'm just going to go over the agenda real quick. This meeting was supposed to be a special meeting to help anybody that needed any setup help before the hackathon, but I'm imagining all the people that are on the call right now are the people that I would lean to get setup help. So, does anybody need setup help?
Well, Chris, is there any special environment that we need, or if we've got a development environment on our machines, is that good enough?
Yeah, I mean, so the on the wiki page, I guess what I'm referring to, I'm sorry, is that on the wiki page, Ted had set up a link to some resources which I thought were pretty helpful. Um, there's Vivo Vagrant, which if you guys aren't familiar with Vagrant, it's a virtualization software. I know you are, Jim. I see that Patrick just joined. So there's a Vivo Vagrant which lets you create a virtualized Vivo. There's also a link to how to set up a Fuseki Sparkle endpoint. That's kind of neat because you can use it to query data from your Vivo. We use it a lot here with some of the Python examples that are available on GitHub. There's a list of other Vivo tools, like the Harvester and some of the other Jenna tools and some Ruby examples. And so if anybody had tried to set those up and wanted some help, we'd give it a shot. And then getting just some basic stuff. We'd like everyone to be able to work with GitHub if possible. So while the teams are building their examples, we'd like the results of the hackathon to be available via GitHub, if that's possible. So if anyone was having trouble using Git or getting connected to GitHub or signing up or creating an SSH key, which is required for using GitHub, we were going to help with that. So, but to answer your question, primarily in a short answer, Jim, no. Whatever development environment you want to use should be fine.
Okay. And are we going to branch or fork the Vivo and Vitro repositories, or are we figuring we're doing this all in tool repositories?
No, I figure we're doing this all in tool repositories that would be created by each team for their individual project. I had imagined that, I'm sorry, I didn't even think about it that way, Jim. I had been thinking in terms of everyone was going to try and use a 1.6 Vivo and write new code to use the API. I hadn't even thought about, you're right, some people might want to work on the Vivo and Vitro source code itself. So that's a good question. I guess if they're using GitHub though, they could make a fork and do a pull request, right?
Sure, absolutely.
So what I mean by that is if they wanted to make changes to the internals of Vivo or make a new feature or do something that would affect Vivo or Vitro itself, they could fork it on GitHub, which means on your account it would create a copy of the repos and keep it in line with the original repos. And then when you made a new feature, you create what's called a pull request, which is a fancy way of saying it would submit a patch notification to Jim saying, Jim, here's this bit of source code. Would you like to integrate it back into the main Vivo trunk? Is that correct, Jim?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's worked well. Stephen Williams submitted a couple of patches that way, as did Ted. And, not only do we have that capability, but also the patch itself becomes open for discussion at that point. We can attach comments to it. We can respond to each other. It's pretty neat.
What's the version of Vagrant or version of Vivo in Vagrant that you have?
There's a tag for 151. The original Vivo Vagrant that Ted and I worked on together, which Ted did most of the work, by the way, is 151. So we could go back and find that tag. The current one, without going back and searching through Git to find that tag, so the current one, if you just went to the GitHub site, is 1.6.
Oh, it is 1.6. Okay.
Yep. I can go there real quick. Let me go and show everybody. So for those of you on the phone, I have a browser open. I'm sharing my screen, and I'm going to oops, that's the Vagrant website. I'm going to Ted Lawless's GitHub repository. So I'll put this in the chat, but it's on the wiki page too, as you saw. So basically, if you go here and you do a git clone using this git clone URL, you're going to get a 1.6 Vivo. But if you look at the, there you go. He even created a tag for it. So see, this is the v1.5 tag. So if you click this, you could clone from this this commit, and you'd get 1.5. So, and then if you need some help on Vagrant, they've got a great website. But Ted does a great job. Oh, he even put instructions here. Here you go. Go Ted, right in the README. I thought it was going to be good to have both because some people may want to work on things in the hackathon that they may want to put into their Vivos, which may be 1.5 Vivos, and some people may want to work on things that are going to be, coming out. So I'm going to work on the 1.6 because I think anything I build, I want it to work on 1.6 once we finally get to it. So, any other questions about tools or setup environment?
Can't think of anything.
Awesome. So the only other item I had on the agenda was I wanted to talk about, it's kind of slowed down over the last week or so, but we've had a lot of good feedback, and Ted has been adding all these ideas to the wiki that people have emailed him or us and or have added to the wiki himself. So what I'm showing here for the guys on the phone is the wiki page for the hackathon, and I'm just going to go over the ideas. So one of them, CV and biosketch generation. So Mike Conlin has created a pretty neat Python program that uses Sparkle queries and a Python templating tool called RTF-NG, and it creates a pretty decent NIH biosketch. So stealing an idea from a similar piece of software that I saw that would take a document and automatically save it out to the Google Drive or Dropbox API, I thought it would be pretty neat to take that code that he'd written and kind of make a easy button to where you could put in someone's URI and have it basically pop out the biosketch to your Dropbox or your Google Drive folder. So I'm the only one that's interested in teaming with that so far, because each one of these on the wiki, for those of you that can't see it, they have the idea, and then they have people that are interested in teaming. So I'm the only one on that. Open Social Gadgets, or ORNG, working with Eric Meeks to improve ORNG integration with Vivo 1.6 or new gadgets. We don't have anybody teamed into that one yet. Schema.org for Vivo profiles. Idea, using the schema.org person type to add markup to Vivo's person template using Google's rich snippet tool to verify the markup. So that's an idea that came from Steve McCauley at Brown. And so if you're interested in teaming with Steve, he's the only one on that team so far. Visualizations, idea, integrating Simon's capability map functionality with Solar or other visualizations. So that's just kind of one of the general categories. There's nobody signed up for that one yet. Vivo dashboards, for example, extending dev dashboard versus administrator dashboard. So this idea came from Paul at Weill Cornell, and they've made some pretty exciting dashboards. Paul's not going to get a chance to make it to the hackathon, but he thought that might be something interesting for a team to pick up on. Vivo Expert Finder. So the idea is create an Expert Finder mobile app so that Vivo data can be used by faculty and others to find experts at sites running Vivo. The user could indicate a concept of interest. The app would generate an interactive, bimodal, force-directed graph of the concept and concepts associated with the concept, and people associated with the concept, and people associated with related concepts, period. User controls would support degree of association with concept for inclusion on the graph and other filters. recentering the graph on the person or concept. So there's more text here, but basically there's a thumbnail. Oh, it looks like Mike has created a bimodal map of a list of concepts, and then you can click it and recenter it on people or on the concept. So that's kind of neat.
A quick question about that, Chris.
Sorry, let me pull
I
that back up.
also
I did that real quick. Go ahead, Alex.
Oh, sure. Sorry about that. Let's see here. There was also I was curious if you had any insights into Mike's thinking around that versus Simon's work, or if he had considered Simon's work over at Melbourne, which is somewhere on this list, I think. Um, his capability map. Your I don't know if you did I put it? Maybe I didn't put it on the wiki yet.
Well, that
Have
was
you
one. I
seen it
think
yet?
that's under visualization. So yeah, it's an
Oh,
integrating.
okay. Right. Yeah, yeah. Because I don't think I added it. I added more. Yeah, I'm looking at it now on your screen there. I didn't add more, but basically Simon had gone ahead and sent me the code for his capability map. He still hasn't gotten to the point where he's had the time or kind of quite gone through the legal to fully open source it and release it for himself as open source. But he did. I did contact him and say, hey, would it be okay if we shared this code at the hackathon, if anyone was interested, and kind of poked around and did things with it. And he said that was fine. He even said he'd be willing to try to join. Like his afternoon would be, or his morning is our afternoon, so he could even, if people were interested in poking at that and having them on Skype, he could even do that. So just kind of bringing it back to what you're just talking about. Do you think there's any value in pinging Mike and seeing what he thinks about that, in case that these two things could kind of be brought together, or Mike's already maybe looked at Simon's stuff and decided against it or something like that?
No, I don't think he knew of Simon's stuff that it existed at all. So yeah, no, it would probably be great to reach out to him.
Okay.
If you want, you do not have to copy me. I encourage teams to self organize, but if you want me to facilitate, feel free to copy me. If not, you go ahead. I'm sure Mike would love to hear about what you've already found out from Simon. He loves the whole the way the Australians have done their uh, their
Cool.
visualizations with that capability map. So I'm sure he'd love to hear about it.
Do you know? Did he go out to Australia this year? This
He did.
past
He was
month?
just there, I think, in January or February, whenever they had their Vivo Day.
Oh, okay, good. So yeah, great. Well, yeah. So I'll follow up with Mike and just kind of see what his thoughts are on that, because I'm sure he ended up talking to Simon about it at some point.
I do know though that he was excited about the work out at LASP. So mixed demonstration about using Angular, and I kind
Cool.
of introduced him to D3 and Angular, and so he's pretty excited about it. So he is looking for a mobile idea too. So maybe this will be exciting to integrate both.
Yeah, right. No, excellent. Cool. Thanks, Chris.
No problem. Please jump in. I don't have a huge agenda today. This was supposed to be kind of open time. So Vivo Mobile. So for example, support for responsive web design, Bootstrap, PhoneGap, native apps. Um, yeah, I'd love to do something mobile too. I mean, that's kind of the what I might be doing with the Python code is trying to create an Angular JS app, and using something like Twitter Bootstrap. It's just pretty exciting how easy it is, at least for the stuff that I've done so far, to create something that works pretty good on a phone, as far as the layout with Twitter Bootstrap. So I think it would be neat to do something that would um, be convenient on a mobile phone, yet do something worthwhile. So
Have you let's see here. Have you had a chance, Chris, to see? I'm trying to pull it up real quick. Um, it's a company that GitHub just bought, and they use Twitter Bootstrap. I'm just trying to recall the name of it. There's so many companies now. Um, but yeah, this company they just bought, and it basically this company lets you. Um, it's kind of like let you design a Bootstrap site, and it might be interesting to take something like that and just sit there and basically mock up the site, and then it generates the HTML, and you can look at the HTML and figure out how to turn it into FreeMarker. Um, But the other thing that's really cool about this, and it's just going to take me sorry to take the time here, but
we got time, and we're only 19 minutes in, buddy. Get right
I
ahead.
think you guys might all, yeah, you might, the rest of you, there's a second part to this, okay? Um, Unfortunately, Bootstrap is such an overloaded term. um, Tours, let's see here.
Let's see, GitHub.
Easel. Okay, so it's a company. Check this out if you have a browser. Go to easel.io.
You want to? I can give you presenter, or I can show it for you if you want.
If you go ahead and just bring it up, it's just easel EASEL.io.
Oh, cool. Sculpt the web.
So they just acquired these guys, and there's two cool things about this. One is that it looks like it's a free. You can do like a free login, and then you can basically use their tools to create a Bootstrap based website. And so again, my thinking, and you can then export that as HTML. The reason why GitHub bought them is because, as you know, GitHub Pages is now a great way to host websites if they're kind of small websites that only involve a few pages. And so, this site makes it really easy to put together a really nice looking website based on Bootstrap, and then export it and check it into your GitHub as a page thing, and then take over the world. The other thing that's really cool about these guys is if you click on their tour, I think it is.
Okay.
Where it says
I'm sorry. I clicked start the demo. My bad.
Okay, and that's actually fine. That's fine. So see how it's giving you these little dialog buttons?
Yep.
So I'm pretty sure what this is something called Toursist.js, and they talk about it on their blog, but basically Tourist.js is a JavaScript library that you can use to script demos on like in-place demos on websites. And so let's see here. If you go to Tourist, I'm just going to Google Tourist.js to see where. So yeah, Easel has open sourced this Tourist thing. So if you were to Google Tourist.js,
yep,
and they have some really cool examples of it if you poke around the Easel site. But basically, what it lets you do is in browser you can have. I think what would be cool about this is, and it may or may not make sense in the hackathon. It might be more of an implementation thing, but it would allow us to have demos of using VIVO, like basically a demo of here's how you set up your VIVO, and then have it actually be a JavaScript that could be released, say, as a part of VIVO 1.7. So somebody that's new to VIVO could say, okay, show me how to add an ontology or something, and it would in their browser guide them through doing it. And they this wouldn't be just like a screencast. But let's see, so I'll try to make one more point. I just have to go to their blog to find where they have. Okay, I'll send you. I'm just going to send you a link.
Okay.
I know this is kind of fire hose, not very organized thinking here, but so I just sent you a chat window link.
I got it. I'm showing shadow exploration.
Yeah, so go ahead and click. So let's go. So basically this looks like a very scripted thing, but you'll see here that basically you can click on things. So imagine this was the VIVO user interface with one of these little Toursist.js tours running on top of it. Wouldn't that be cool if there's a way to put like a helper mode, turn it on in VIVO, and all it would do would activate the Tourist.js.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It could walk somebody through extending all the common use cases for a new person in VIVO. Like how do you extend the ontology to add your corporate ID, your university campus ID. How do you import another ontology? How do you do some basic theming type things? I don't know. That was just one thought. So two things here with Easel. One is could Easel be a way to quickly prototype a Bootstrap-based UI for VIVO? Because you also look at the top, see if you have to go to the very top row where it's got their menu for Easel, the file, edit documents, and then over on the right-hand side, you see it has little icons for a phone, a tablet, and a screen.
Yep.
You should be able to go ahead and click on those.
Oh, cool.
And so you'll see the nice thing about
I
and
clicked
and
on the
there
phone. Yeah.
and this is a demo. Like this demo here is not maybe even Bootstrap. This might just be them showing how to do shadows and all those different things using CSS. Um, but basically, if you're creating a new site, you say you want it to be Bootstrap, and you're clicking on those. I'm just thinking if somebody could maybe quickly um, prototype what Vivo would look like with Bootstrap instead of spending hours, typing in the trying to hand code it. I don't know.
No, no, I'm
I
trying to
probably
get
said
there.
enough.
I get what you're saying. So I went back to the start of the tour and I'm changing the size so that I can see what it looks like on a phone. And oh, that's pretty cool. Wow. No, that's a big deal. And this is all done with Tourist.js.
Well, Tourist.js is what yeah does that little dialogue that's helping you out. Otherwise, if you just go into Easel and you create an account, you start a website, you don't by default you just get all the options and control panels and toolbars, and you kind of have to figure it out. And so I think what's really nice is they ended up building that Tourist.js and then open sourcing it because they found wow, this is a little too complicated. Somebody that's starting from scratch is going to be overwhelmed by all these options. So let us come up with these little tours
Mm-hmm.
that but they're not like a lot of the learning tutorials out there where it's like you're working through some artificial sandbox, you know,
You're in the interface actually learning the, yeah.
right. And so in Vivo, I think Vivo's not a web builder tool, but in some ways it's more complex. um, and if there was a way for the documentation to be, kind of like when you're a developer, you probably heard the argument about the documentation should be in a Word document that's in a file folder somewhere in a cabinet versus the documentation should be inline as source code comments. And so I think Toursist.js to me is kind of like having your inline documentation as opposed to somebody having to go to the wiki to, again, you want to have good documentation on the wiki for Vivo, but for some of the complicated use cases, it might be interesting to do things like this.
Well,
Even,
yeah,
thinking
and
of
you
it.
can and you can tell that this makes them more successful. If there was a competitor that didn't have a good instruction on how to use all these features, and then these guys do, this is a competitive advantage.
Right, right, exactly. I mean, you could even see like I was thinking of use cases for a Vivo system administrator, but I could even imagine use cases for like a faculty member or someone that's just trying to figure out like how do I add a new publication to my Vivo profile, or maybe a more complicated example than that. But
No, I can see every one of those use cases being helpful.
anyhow, sorry to digress so much, but I was thinking I could add some of these links to that Twitter Bootstrap if that makes sense.
No, absolutely, yes. And I think this is an idea all into itself. I think that this would be, yeah, I'm kind of taking it all in.
And just because I feel like I've kind of taken over here for the last few minutes, I'm really curious if Richard or Patrick, if you're looking at this saying like, oh, that's crazy, doesn't make any sense, or oh, we've seen another tool that's a little, maybe even a little better. Any feedback?
No, I haven't seen tools better necessarily.
I'm always amazed that Alex is always seems to be on the forefront of all the new stuff that's coming out. Do you have like a special Twitter feed or something?
No, I think drink too much coffee or something. I don't know.
Is there like a blooming scene out there where everybody's learning the new stuff out in Boulder?
Well, I mean, the one thing about Boulder, and I mean, I imagine it's the same in Raleigh-Durham area, but people call Boulder the city of 3,000 three-person startups. And so you go to coffee and you'll run into just it's kind of like I mean it's basically there's enough tech people here that moved, they lived in California, made their money, and then they moved to Boulder, and so they could raise their kids or something, and so they're trying to recreate the Bay Area. It's never going to be the Bay Area, never in a million years, but it's like a mini version of it. And so there's just a lot of high tech people, and with the university and all that, I think that that certainly helps, that you bump into people and like, oh, did you check this out, that sort of thing. But
Alex, sorry, I missed your presentation, but I think we'll have to show you the space underneath where we work at Duke here. It's well, a little startup factory down there, so it's definitely
oh, very cool.
the case around here.
Yeah, that's great. Definitely, I haven't been to Durham before, so I definitely am looking forward to being there for a week.
Yeah, we'll have to go to Boulder next time. I'd love to go out there.
Yeah, I didn't know that it was the land of the three-person startup. That's pretty awesome. And what is this about? You guys have your own little factory of minions building stuff down below you?
Yeah, there's something called it's the Triangle Startup Factory, I think it's called. And they have the whole basement space beneath us. It's sort of like it's the old tobacco warehouses for Lucky Strike cigarettes, and they've got it converted. And you walk through down there, and it's like walking through a fish tank. Just a bunch of offices with glass fronts, and they've got fun things like hacked ping pong machines, so you can just go down there and hit start and start playing, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah,
Very
just put
startup-y.
a link for it on the. Yep, there you go.
Oh, nice.
So we're gonna need a tour of that at some point during the hackathon, or
Yeah, I think that's not a bad idea.
maybe after.
It's
Maybe
literally
after.
it's literally an elevator ride away.
That would be awesome. I'm sure people would love to see that.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun.
Did they get it? So is this affiliated with Duke? Is this? I'm trying to look through here. The startup factory.
I think Duke provides some funding, but it's not a Duke thing, no.
Did you see the bottom here? This website was designed and built by Knercher during a single 2-week sprint. Was that an excuse, or were they bragging?
I think both, right? Oh, sorry, I was wrong. The hackathon's going to be in a different building, but it's not far away, so we'll provide maps.
Cool. Yes, I don't know if everybody else here does Agile, but we've been doing Agile for about a year now and hardcore, and went to training and everything, and it's still trying to get stuff done in 2 weeks almost seems impossible every sprint. So I can relate to that. Because usually with our customers, we say something like, well, we can only get this much done in a 2-week sprint. Anyhow, I digress.
Yes.
For the hackathon, we will only have a day. So I've gotten so I guess I should go through the rest of the use cases here real quick before I get lost. So VIVO Mobile, VIVO use cases. John Corson Reichert is offered to lead a session on gathering use cases and requirements for the non-technical people. So if we have non-technical people that don't want to program, there's still something there. John is very interested in gathering up what people see as the next important feature set for the next version of VIVO. And then from Mick at LASP, a generic VIVO independent relationship creation tool. So he already has this tool. This is a screenshot from his skills builder that he's built with AngularJS and Sparkle and VIVO, and the harvester, by the way, underneath. So he had a good idea to build it as a generic web app that lets you create and manage relationships inside of VIVO using a more generalized relationship mapping tool. So I think that's going to be pretty interesting. Plus, Mick is a pretty amazing guy too, so it'd be nice to team with him. VIVO Sparkle Update Clients. VIVO 1.6 includes Sparkle Update API. This is a much anticipated feature because it will allow sites to automate data loading and processing and still take advantage of VIVO reasoning and still indexing. During the hackathon, team can work to build a sample client libraries for a variety of scripting languages, Perl, PHP, Python, Ruby, and others that add, delete, and manipulate VIVO data using Sparkle Update API. This will help team members to leverage the API in their workflows. So, someone put an example in Python. Let's see. That would be Ted. Cool. So, so that might be interesting too. Is again one of the reasons why we want to share in GitHub. Sorry to mean to scroll so fast. I'm trying to get back to here, but definitely. I think providing scripting language examples would be helpful. I remember that as one of the comments from Eric Meeks at UCSF during the grant, he said that we had lots of Java examples of how to work with Vivo, but not very many other language examples. So I can definitely see that as important. And I'm sure it'll come out hopefully as a natural result of coming out of the hackathon that we'll have had people with their own languages be able to put up references of how they interact with the API, hopefully. Man, I thought I forgot where I was going to go from there. We were talking about the hackathon. We have T-shirts. I bought 50 T-shirts for the hackathon in varying sizes, so I think that everybody there will be able to get a T-shirt, and then maybe we can also give some out to other people at the Implementation Fest. I'm sure that excites everybody.
Cool. Yeah.
Woohoo!
Thank you, Jim. Well, I was trying to make it fun. I have a feeling that we're going to be a lot older than the average hackathon. Our average age will be older than the average hackathon attendee at, like, a Twitter hackathon, but I think we would all still like T-shirts.
Age before beauty.
I can pretend like I'm still in my 20s, right? So this is the idea list. Does anybody have any ideas on things they'd want to work on that aren't on this list that we might add just to give people a heads up?
I guess one idea we were kicking around internally here that Sherry Tibbs had here, and I don't know, we haven't really thought it through, or at least I haven't thought it through all the way, but I don't know if people are familiar with JSfiddle for playing around with how JavaScript is going to look on a page.
Yes.
But we spent a lot of time trying to customize different entity pages in VIVO. And so we're spending time in the list view config files and various free marker template files. And we were just thinking that it would be really awesome to have a page where you could play with the sort of constructs that you're writing in the list view config and play with those templates and sort of get some kind of output of how it's going to look on your page without having to rebuild the app and all that kind of thing. Anyway.
I think that's a pretty cool idea too. In fact, I've used JSfiddle quite a bit as I've started working more with JavaScript, and it's been a really valuable tool because I just found a random example on Google, but you can see that it's got the 4 screens here, and you can see that it's basically manipulating the thing here, and then you get a real example of something that actually, so you can test it out. So here I am testing this spreadsheet like thing, and then over here's the code that you can manipulate. I can probably go, if I can find the labels for the tables. Where is it?
Right, and just go ahead and update that.
Right.
Exactly.
S. Oops. And then hopefully, so there we go. As soon as I click out of here. No, that wasn't it. Okay, anyway.
You might have to click update at the top.
Oh, is that it? Run. STUVW, and I can change it back to A. And run. Yeah, so these are,
Yeah, right.
So I'm sorry. So now that
I think that would cut down a lot of the development time on our tasks with a tool like that.
Yeah, it would be neat to be able to have something where you could play with it and then see what the output would look like in VIVO. Yeah, I mean that's kind of your idea, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's very much the idea.
Cool.
But we had to put some thought into how we might, go about doing that. But just throw it out there in case somebody knew how.
Well, so with some of the stuff we've done on the CTSA Connect grant, and then some of the things we're doing here locally, we are interjecting JavaScript right into different VIVO templates to run things like this. So you could probably create a wrapper. I mean, that's kind of what we did for prototyping. in fact, I'm trying to see. Um, well, anyway, I could show you. I don't. I won't bring one up right here, but actually, basically, we created a wrapper, which is just the whole style sheet and the links to a Vivo, an empty Vivo page. So it's got like the headers and the footers and stuff, and then JavaScript in the middle. And so you could probably do that here. And if the references were web accessible, which they could be, so you could pull from like your Duke Vivo here and then put your
Mm-hmm.
JavaScript in, and then you could probably get it to over here on this page render as if it were on your Vivo. Because I bet I can go over, here and go vivo.ufl.edu. Run. And then this link goes to Vivo. Boop, boop. I got a Vivo.
Nice.
So you could probably use tags to pull this stuff in to make it look like, and then put your JavaScript here and have your JavaScript do this stuff or something.
Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm.
That's a good idea. I like that idea. I like that idea a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be cool.
Because you can save these. You can save these fiddles. They're like tiny URLs or little scripts. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Totally.
this could be available on the internet.
You can even fork them.
Yep, you can fork them, and yeah, cool. I had never thought of that until you said that, and I've been playing with this for a while.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I think in our idea. I mean, I like that idea a lot. Our idea also was sort of like to put where you have like some RDF data, and it would be a tool like this. It'd be a little bit different, but being able to put in some constructs and just to see exactly what data comes back out. It might be a little complicated with Vivo with like the post processors and stuff that go into those entity pages. But I like your idea. I think that's more feasible for like a one day.
Well, you could show the value of it and then talk about it as a long-term tool.
Exactly.
You got to put it in the wiki. Do you have access to the wiki?
I do. I've been trying to load the page. It's not loading for me for some reason, but I'll get it up.
Let me find. Uh-oh, did we break DuraSpace? There we go. Oh, I lost the. Where is it?
I went ahead and updated the hackathon page to add the JSfiddle reference down under tools.
Oh, cool. Thank you, Alex.
Under hacker setup resources. Feel free to move it if it should be higher up.
Oh, cool. I see it now. Thanks for that.
I'm just excited to come and be in a room because I think that a lot of, everybody has great tools and ideas. Like, just today on this call, in the last half an hour, I've seen JSfiddle and Easel.io and Tourist.js. Those are all just amazing things. And so I'm just excited to see what else other people are going to bring and go, oh, you didn't know about this tool that's been out there for a while. And because there's whole communities of really great web resources that sometimes they're just regional, they're in different parts of the country or
right. Yeah, and I know this is a digression a little bit, but I know Paul at Weill Cornell wants to do a survey of Vivo sites, and I think that my hope is that once we've collected that information, that somehow we have the resources to put that into something like the vivoweb.org, Vivo, and I just envision at some point it'd be great to eat our own dog food and have some of this knowledge that we have. We're not researchers, we're technologists, but we have all this knowledge and expertise, and we could encode some of that somehow as linked open data so it'd be more discoverable. It's kind of like, well, what tools is Duke using? They must be using some cool tools. Oh, I didn't know about this the JSfiddle, and who else is using JSfiddle? Oh yeah, the team at Weill Cornell is using that too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what about you guys up at Cornell on the phone? I know we can't see you, but we can hear you. So are you guys excited about coming down, or you busy writing presentations?
Definitely excited about coming down. I haven't gotten around to starting to write presentations yet. I don't know about the other guys.
I haven't really either. I've got at least one of the things that is something I can reuse from something I did before, but there's still at least one thing that I'm going to have to kind of start from scratch. I think we're probably most excited that we don't have to deal with minus degree temperatures. It was -9 this morning.
Oh man, that's bad.
-8, yes.
All right, Patrick and Richard, what's the temperature up there?
Today is a little bit colder, but it's 33. But
it was real warm yesterday.
Sunday was 70.
Go ahead, Richard.
Yeah. We would
Last
like
night it snowed.
we would like to order. Oh, seriously, it was 70 and then it snowed. That's awesome.
Yeah. So
Your pets
guess is
must
as
be
good as
freaking out, you know. Well, we would like to order up some 70-degree days, please.
ours.
And I'm sure.
Yeah. So as far as the hackathon itself,
we'll
I'm
try.
not
We'll let
really
'em know.
focused. I'm not really focused in on a team, but you know, I'm glad that there are the options, and I want to be helpful to anybody who needs help.
Do you have any favorite ideas that
Alert
you've
from
seen so
calendar.
far?
CTSIT budget meeting.
Oh, sorry, guys. My calendar's yelling at me. Do you have any
The
ideas?
stuff that Mick has proposed sounds interesting.
Which one is that?
That's the
skill builder, the skill relationship builder.
thank you. Yeah.
I pulled it up on the screen here, so you can see that basically he's using JavaScript, and he's got people on the left, and they're draggable to a person. And then he's got a list of skills on the right, and he drags it into the same interface, kind of like a joiner, and then click submit. And so his idea, this actually is what they use at their lab, which is pretty neat. And this puts the data back, or this actually puts the relationships back into VIVO. And so he's talking about making it more generalized and creating a relationship mapping tool. Now, I've always thought this would be neat for a way to create groups of people in VIVO. So we get this question all the time here at UF where it's like, oh, we formed this new program or center, and we want all these faculty members to be related to the centers, even though they're all in different departments. And we're like, oh, okay. So this might be a cool way to do that, you know, or let them do that. And then I'm bringing up on the screen here, Jim, you can't see it, but this is, Mike actually made this drawing. And it's pretty, I thought it was pretty awesome just because it looks like my daughter Abigail made it, but it says user tablet Vivo, and it's got like a stick figure and a picture of a tablet in the middle, and then like a garbage can looking container that's supposed to be a database, I think.
That's a triple store. No, it's got.
Oh, that's triple store. I get it. See, that was like caveman. I didn't get that. There's 3 columns of minus signs. It's triples. Very nice. I should get this printed out as a poster so I can put it up at the hackathon.
Put it on the T-shirt.
Oh,
Put it on the.
You know.
Stickers.
Let me.
No, but I like your idea, Chris, of submit it as Mike's submission for the VIVO conference
for a poster
section.
Yeah, I should have put that on the T-shirt. The T-shirts are already getting printed, though. That would have been good. I've been debating about whether I had to show you guys a T-shirt. I'm kind of keeping it as a surprise. I think you'll like it. It's pretty. It's pretty funny.
Cool.
So. Oh, thank you for taking notes, Alex, or whoever put the Isla.io stuff in there.
Sure.
Very cool. So what else have you been up to, Alex Vigio, out there in Colorado?
Oh, a thing or two. So we'll definitely have some news, hopefully in the next week or so.
Have you been working on any visualizations or anything like that?
Well, we had we're hoping to find we were hoping to find some of Steven's time, but he's been Qualcomm's been keeping him pretty busy, so we haven't been able to get him back through the door to spend a few consulting hours to get some of the visualizations progressed, but we did a couple of Fridays ago, we had a chat with a guy that was working on a linked open data project for NREL, which is the National Renewable Energy Lab. That's about 30 minutes south of here. If you want to pull it up real quick, it's openei.org, I believe.
Openei.org.
And I think it was I want to say it's an NSF funded project, but just trying to get people around the world, not just anyone from citizens all the way to companies, to share information, open data about energy. And so anyhow, this guy's done some things. His name's Ryan, and he left NREL because he wanted to pursue some side projects. So he's also doing some consulting. So we had a chat with him, and we'll see if it's him or someone else that ends up getting involved. But he's got experience with D3 and some other things, and so I don't think he'll be able to make it to the I was trying to get him interested in the VIVO community in general, because he was definitely interested in semantic web technology. They were using Semantic Media Wiki for this OpenEI website, but I'm hoping that, like others, like Patrick from RPI and others, that we can get the community growing by getting people interested in semantic web to join the VIVO community. And so we'll see if he comes on board as a contractor, or if he just finds himself naturally interested in VIVO's technology for his future projects. But he's a really seemed like a really sharp guy, really passionate about visualizations and open data, and so yeah, we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, that would be exciting. These are some pretty cool visualizations. Guys at Cornell, I'm on the OpenEI site, and basically they got box plots and whisker plots that you can move the year, and it automatically updates the plots, which are pretty neat.
Yeah, so I think he was using, I want to say Simile or whatever it was, the latest version of the MIT faceted browser. He had experience with that in D3 and the Google visualization stuff, and so yeah, hopefully if not him, we can find someone else like him to kind of pick up some of the visualization work that Stephen had started on for 1.6 for 1.6 VIVO.
We definitely. We definitely need more visualizations. I mean, this is the real power of why it takes so much effort to put the data together in VIVO, and it's only rare that people get it. Like, oh, I can't just create this plot that I need out of a different data source, especially like the force-directed network graphs and cool stuff like that. We've actually finally gotten some support here at UF, because some of the we have what's called the Bureau of Economic Research and Business Affairs, and they do social network analysis and all kinds of things like that. Well, about a year ago, they discovered VIVO here, and we helped them get some Sparkle queries going. Well, they've actually been publishing papers about relationships at UF between the projects and faculty members and grants and communities, and Mike knew about it, but it wasn't on our radar until we realized that they were gaining national prominence with their papers they were publishing, and it was all because of the data they were able to get out of VIVO. So it was just kind of like, wow. So they came back to us, and they wanted to work together more to get data, but they were like, we never realized we had a data source like this. So, and it wasn't in the long point of the short of that long story I just told was, they discovered VIVO because we had put out a visualization out on a web page. And they googled it, and they found it, and they were like, where did this come from? And it was just some silly little network graph or something too.
Yeah, no, I think at last, I'm hoping that Nick will also bring some of that, and Don will also be attending the iFest from LASP. So between having Don and Nick there at the hackathon and the iFest, I think that hopefully they'll be talking about their stories about reusing data in their VIVO with visualizations and other kinds of reports. And also, the other thing I wanted to say was that I think a lot of the interest in VIVO, or the value that VIVO does, is kind of as this presentation layer. Like like you said, once the data is in there, people can't get that data anywhere else. And the thing about VIVO is, once the data is in there, it's open. It's not like many other websites or internal databases where they see the data on a screen, anywhere from a green screen to a HTML5 screen, but then they say, okay, now I want to get that data and use it some other way. Oh wait, you have to scrape it, or you have to go talk to the data warehouse people, and oh, you can't have access to half that data because it's in a table with sensitive data in it. And so, whereas VIVO, again, once that data is out there, you can say, oh yeah, anything you see on the screen, you can reuse that.
Yeah, no, that's huge. That's exactly right. They were able to quickly reuse VIVO data because it's all open. Well, on that note, instead of hanging you guys up anymore, especially you guys in Ithaca, who I'm sure are freezing right now, I think we are going to wrap up the call.
Yeah, I took off my wool hat, but I still have my coat on.
I can remember I went to school in Troy, New York, and I remember being from Florida, being like I thought I was in hell. I was like, what was I thinking? All right, guys. Well, thanks everybody for coming to the Apps and Tools call. We will not be having a call in 2 weeks because we will be at the Hackathon. So
with free T-shirts.
With free T-shirts, that's right. So the next call, let me look at the calendar here. The next call will be on the 1st of April. So thanks everyone for attending. If you have any questions, obviously feel free to email me or any suggestions on how we can make the calls better or anything for the hackathon. Please feel free to let me know.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Chris.
All right. Thanks for organizing it.